Won't you shut up? We're heading back towards the camp. We're going in the wrong direction. Luger, what are you doing? Halt! What took you so long? You son of a bitch! Don't you, Luger, betrayed us! Run for the money! Come on, hurry! Run!
Well, it's the first Wednesday of the month, and you know what that means. It is time for a little bit more Tales from the Crypt. Tonight, we're going to be talking the Season 7 episode, Escape. Stay tuned. Everybody, welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Again, it's the first Wednesday of the month, and that means it is time for us to take another look at some more Tales from the Crypt. So tonight we're going to take a look at the 4th episode of the 7th season, Escape. Now, this is one that I love coming back to because it works in ways as a spiritual sequel to the Season 3 episode, Yellow. You know Yellow. I've talked about it earlier this year here on the show. It is considered one of, if not the best Tales from the Crypt episode of all time, about a lieutenant in World War I who just cannot carry out the orders given to him by his commander, who also happens to be his father, and it ultimately ends with his father setting him up to be killed as an effort to show that his son is not yellow. Now, we're going to talk a bit about why I think specifically Escape works as a sequel to it, but trust me, if you've never looked at it that way before, you just might after we're done here with this episode. Before we get there, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button no matter where you are tuning in. We got a lot of great content up on the channel right now, including more Tales from the Crypt for you guys to go take a look at right now. And we got a lot of fun stuff coming up that I'm going to tell you about here at the end of the show. But let's not waste any more time and get right on into things here. Again, tonight we are talking Season 7, Episode 4, Escape. Escape is a World War II drama about a German lieutenant, Luger, who betrays his comrades for a better deal in a British POW camp. Seeking a way to escape before he's executed, Luger will find his plan on a quicker schedule when one of the men he betrayed is brought to the camp looking for revenge. And there it is, folks. That is Escape. Now again, I said that to me this episode has always seemed like a spiritual sequel to the Season 3 episode, Yellow. Yellow was set during World War I and told the story about this lieutenant who didn't have the balls to basically go through with a number of commands that could potentially leave him dead. That's the way that it is in war. Here in Season 7's Escape, this one is set during World War II, so there's already that strong connection there, but the character that we're following around, Lieutenant Luger, happens to be a man who, for all intents and purposes, is terrified out of his mind as well, too. This episode gives the idea here that Luger has been betraying his German comrades more than the one time we see here at the beginning of this episode. Matter of fact, the major who's running this British POW camp seems to hold nothing but contempt for Luger, and it's very likely because he has done this numerous times to numerous other German POWs. That's an interesting place for us as the audience to be in, because already we know that we deal with flawed protagonists here in Tales from the Crypt, but what are we doing with a protagonist that is an actual Nazi in this case here? So from the jump, we already don't have Luger's back, but the thing is that Luger still got a little bit of charm to him, which I'll talk about when we get to the casting a little bit later on. But before we get there, let's talk about those Crypt Keeper segments. So this is the last season of the show, and production was moved over to the UK as a way to basically save a little bit on the budget, hire British actors, British directors, and it might cut back a little bit of the cost. Interestingly enough, though, you couldn't tell that from the Crypt Keeper segments, as you might think they scaled back a bit back to what we were seeing in Season 1 and Season 2. Not so many props, not so many costumes, darker lighting, but we don't really get that here, and instead, it's kind of a callback again to some of the prior installments we've seen with the Crypt Keeper, to where he's working as a drill sergeant with a bunch of skeleton soldiers, which kind of goes right in line with not just, again, Escape, but yellow as well too. We're getting that military connection, and some of the puns in here are definitely funny to say the least, but you can't shake that feeling if you're watching this and knowing that this is the last season, that it feels like that as well too, and you're trying to basically hold on to as much of the Crypt Keeper interactions as you can, because we know, folks, after we get through season 7, there's really just the film Ritual and a handful of Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon episodes left, and that's been it for a long time at this point. So while I did enjoy the Crypt Keeper segments of this one, it is hard not to look at them and feel bad knowing that we're approaching the point to where we don't have the Crypt Keeper on screen for decades. So, good segments, just bad memories coming along with that. And on that note here, to talk about memories as well, this is not one I caught in the original HBO airing. I did not catch it in the Fox airing. This is one that I didn't even catch, as far as I can recall, in the Sci-Fi airing. I'm fairly positive. This is one that I saw for the first time when I got the season 7 DVD box set. Now, with that being said, I'm sure that if I did happen to catch this on Sci-Fi at one point, that I likely confused it with Yellow. Because if you look again here at the setting of Escape versus the setting of Yellow, the outfits or the costumes that everybody's wearing within it, I think it would be really easy to mix those two episodes up. So while I don't think that I've seen this episode until I got the season 7 DVD, there is a good chance that I did catch this one on Sci-Fi and just didn't realize it. Now, to get back to the cast, this episode really should be notable due to our leading man playing Lieutenant Luger. Luger is played by Martin Kemp, and if you don't know that name, Martin Kemp is the bassist of the band Spandau Ballet. You know, they make that song, True, I Know This Much Is True. You've seen The Wedding Singer. You know that song. He is the bassist to this band, which I'm going to be real about this, y'all. I didn't know that until I was doing research here for this particular segment. And at this point, I've seen this episode numerous times here and yet did not know that at all. But in my defense, I only know a few Spandau Ballet songs, so of course I wouldn't know it as well as I probably should here. But Kemp is a charismatic lead, even though he is playing a Nazi and this guy that has been betraying his comrades trying to escape. It's hard to not still like when Kemp comes on screen, because he does truly light it up. There's this charisma that he has in him here, to where we don't want him to succeed, but at the same time it's like, man, if you did escape, would it be the worst thing ever? It would. It absolutely would, because all these POWs talk about mounting a comeback and escaping and getting back to power, so it would be the worst thing. But at the same time, Kemp does such a great job here as Luger that even though we despise him, he's disgusting, this is not a character that we have any respect for at all, it is hard not to really enjoy Kemp's performance here in the role. And on top of that, our director here for this episode, Peter McDonald, that should be a name as well that you likely have a bit of a connection to with as well too. First of all, he directed 2 classics in Rambo 3 and Mo Money. You know, Mo Money, Mo Money, Mo Money, with the Wayans and the Damon and Marlon in that one. Love that movie. Such an interesting choice for him to direct that film. But on top of that, he actually served as a second unit director for a chunk of the Harry Potter movies and for films like Excalibur and Labyrinth as well too. So this is a notable leading man and a notable director here that we have on board for this episode. Makes it just a little bit more special. That's going to lead us over to the twist. Now, of course, we can't have a happy ending here for Luger. That might just give the wrong message and the wrong idea for how these Crypt episodes are ultimately supposed to work out. But Luger decides ultimately that this next escape attempt that's been brought to him really needs to be for himself, because it's very likely he's not going to survive the remainder of the POW camp. So Luger ends up trusting another POW named Fry, and the two of them end up trying to escape. But unfortunately for Luger, he finds out that Fry is actually a British officer and was there to infiltrate this escape mission and ultimately have this end with Luger's death, which the Major is all too happy to carry out after informing Luger that the war officially ended today. So had Luger not mounted another escape attempt, he would likely be alive at this point. With that, that brings in the questions of the scares of this episode, because Escape is not anything close to a traditional scary episode. I think that when Luger is killed at the end, along with just the visual of the fellow German soldier who ends up returning back to camp to basically spoil that Luger has betrayed his comrades, who has all the bandages around his face, I think there are elements in it that if you're looking at it now are going to be very, very easy to think of other things, like, for example, Time Crimes, or Time Crimes is a time-traveling horror film that I talked about here on the show a couple of years ago, and our lead character ends up being chased around by the killer who's wearing a bunch of bloody bandages over his face. And it was hard not to think of that watching Escape this time around, even though Escape was done years and years and years before Time Crimes came around. So I think that there are a couple bits of disturbing imagery here in Escape for sure, but if you're coming here for scares, this is not going to be the episode that you're looking for. That doesn't take away from the fun of it, though. This is very much a suspense, a thriller, it's a heist movie, and so it moves at a very brisk pace. It's a little bit faster, a little bit more energetic than a lot of the other Tales from the Crypt episodes that we ultimately have. Ultimately, because we know Luger has to escape this POW camp, because if this other soldier awakens and gets back into general population, he's going to tell everybody what Luger did. So Luger is pressed up against the wall trying to make this next escape attempt work, because if he can't make that work, he's gonna have to kill this guy to keep himself safe. So it's a fun episode, definitely, to work yourself through here. It's just going to end up being a bit light on the scares that you're really looking for. And that's going to lead to our ranking. Escape might seem like a very unassuming episode, but the World War II setting, Martin Kemp's acting, and the thrilling nature of the story itself manages to make it more of a memorable episode than you might think going into it. And because of that, I have Escape ranked currently at number 10 of the episodes that I have watched. I know for a fact it's going to get pushed down more and more as we head into 2026 and get into 2027 as well, and I'm covering way more of the show, but at least right now it does manage to set itself apart from a lot of the other ones that are under it, just by working at that more brisk pace and being very entertaining. I'm curious what y'all thought of this one. Please let me know in the comment section here your thoughts on Escape. And of course, make sure to get subscribed to my link tree, which is the best way to stay on top of all the content that I'm dropping here on my channel. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/tscarymovie. If you get subscribed, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio-only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings through the year, my TikTok page for horror content including movie news, movie reviews, and movie premieres, my Twitch page for horror gaming including Phasmophobia, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of great stuff coming up for you. Here over the next week, we're going to be looking at the 3rd episode of Welcome to Derry, the first 3 episodes of the Talamasca. We're going to be talking Queens of the Dead. I have my review up for Predator Badlands right now. There's a lot of stuff coming your way that I do not want y'all to miss, but that is going to do it for me here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Again, my name is T. We'll be talking scary movies. Stay scared.